On this episode of the DNVR Avs 2021 Season Preview, we are diving into the Avs bottom six forwards, but we're putting a little bit of an extra spin on it. Both Evan and I are bringing you our hot takes for the bottom six, so should be a little bit of a fun show. Don't take any of these takes too seriously because I'm sure people will be mad at me if they do. So,
Always.
Yeah, well, what can you do? Start with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare on that fourth line. For starters, I'm not even sure if this bottom six will be the bottom six for very long. My hot take reflects that, saying by midseason, I don't think Bellemare will even be in the starting lineup, won't be in the top 12 forwards. Between Martin Kaut, Logan O'Connor, potentially even Shane Bowers, if anyone gets injured, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in this lineup, and someone may have to end up sitting. I have it as Bellemare.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it. He's the old guy in the crew. They might use it as, Bender's already kind of said, they might be giving some guys some nights off, maybe give somebody else some opportunity to kind of take his job. I'm just, they used him so much last year, and it seemed like his ice time kind of went up as the year went on. I just think they look at him as a safety blanket that I have a hard time seeing it, but, there are guys coming. It could happen.
Yep. Evan taking the exact opposite stance of myself there. So,
yeah, I feel like they think it's a young forward crew and that having this guy around and even talking to him in the locker room, he's a great guy in the locker room. I think they'll see, hey, you know what? Do you want to stick around for a year? And then maybe next year is the year where they're like, okay, you know what? You're going to be in and out of the lineup a little bit more. We're bringing you back as a veteran presence, but we have young guys we want to play.
Yeah, I really struggle to see him bringing them back next year if they have any interest in playing Shane Bowers at center in the future. Yeah. Just with Alex Newhook coming as well, it gets so tight down the middle.
Yeah, I will say I don't expect him to shoot 10% again.
Yeah, the career high in points would be tough to see that happening again, to say the least. But that isn't to say the Avs still use him plenty as a situational guy to take some face-offs when Kadri couldn't, or he PKs a ton. It certainly has plenty of aspects to his game where he deserves to be on the ice, but the youth is coming at some point. It's just a matter of when. So, move on to Tyson Jost next, which is this guy really a fourth line player? Is he more of a third line player? I mean, I don't know. It depends on how he plays on any given night, right? But the reason I have Bellemare exiting the lineup, not being in the top 12, is because my Tyson Jost hot take is the opposite. It's quite a positive one. I believe he is going to record a career high in points despite the shortened season. And this is the last time. This is the last time Tyson Jost gets me. Either he does it or I'm giving up on that boat and saying that ship has sailed, because you fool me 4 times in a row and even I can figure it out at that point.
That would take a lot. Yeah. I mean, because consider the shortened season, that would take a lot. But,
yep.
Bednar seems pretty happy with his development last year. Maybe not offensively, but on the other end. So, yeah, that would take a big jump, and maybe the fourth year is the year for him. You never know. I have a feeling of the guys on the bottom six or on that fourth line, he'll be the first guy that maybe gets a chance to play with better players if somebody gets hurt.
Definitely a possibility. Someone is going to get the bump up. Is it Tyson Jost? My hot take certainly thinks so. We'll put it that way. Again, Evan and I having pretty opposed views on this one, as you're saying he's getting jumped in the depth chart.
Yeah, I see Jost as the guy that, it just hasn't come together for him. And I think he's going to realize that maybe a change of scenery is best for his career, that he's got expectations. You even look at our if you look at our mentions, anytime you mention Tyson Jost, things get a little hectic on social media where, people don't like him. There's a lot of people that love him. He just has the expectations of a guy that was taken 10th overall, and he hasn't met them, and maybe he wants to go somewhere where he can get a fresh start. And with guys like Kaut and Bowers and even O'Connor coming, I could see it happening. And I think the Avs were close to it last year, even moving on from him. So I could just see that happening this year.
I mean, if nothing else, there are teams out there where he could very likely get more opportunity than with the Colorado Avalanche. The team's desperate for forward depth that potentially could even put him on a second line in the near future.
Absolutely. There's teams that would, like the Avs went out and got Burakovsky after he disappointed.
Yep.
I wouldn't expect that, but teams are going to take a chance on a guy that drafted that high, this young.
For sure. That Jost has opportunity. I think everyone here at DNVR sees the ceiling to his ability being higher than what he's shown with the Avs. It's just a matter of, can he get there? Is it with the Avs? Is it somewhere else? Or what is it going to take to get him there, basically? So hopefully things work out for the Avalanche, and my hot take is correct on this one. But, if they can get value for him, they can get value for him. It's kind of the way things go with bottom six forwards at times. Let's move on to Ali Monroy's favorite player, the Denim Daddy himself, Matt Calvert. Look, Calvert, another veteran on the team now. But the question for me is kind of how long can he keep up doing what he's doing? Another guy, I think he tied his career high in points. I don't know if he actually broke it last season, but another guy who produced very nicely.
Yeah, the question with him is always, is he going to actually stay in the lineup with his health?
Yep.
I think that's 2 playoff runs in a row now where he's gotten hurt and the team has desperately needed him. So, but yeah, he was having a great year before everything happened with the, where he went down. But yeah, I think the organization loves the guy, and he's a very important part. And obviously Bednar loves him. He babysat his kids or whatever that was.
Right. Down in Lake Erie, was that? Or
something like that, yeah.
It might have been South Carolina or something. Anyway, not the point. My hot take for Matt Calvert is that he's going to be doing a lot of things that won't keep him healthy, including having more fights than goals. I left this one open-ended just in case he scores a lot of goals. He's just still going to fight a lot. But my actual hot take there is I think we're going to see a pretty big reduction in his production simply because of how much the Avs have added in front of him at this point. Again, we're talking about him as a fourth line forward potentially this year.
Yeah, it's I think he shot something like 13% last year.
Yeah.
So a decrease in production would not be a huge surprise here. A lot of these guys in the bottom 6 shot really high percentages, so it's kind of, I feel like we have to kind of temper our expectations on what they're going to do production wise. But yeah, maybe he does feel like he's the guy that needs to, we've talked about it, that is toughness something that's lacking on this team? Maybe he's the guy who goes out there and says, I'm going to show that we're tough enough, and I'm going to just punch everyone in the face, quite literally.
Quite. There are people out there who really want that gritty side to the Avs. So Matt Calvert certainly capable of it. I think he had 5 fights last year, which led the team. So maybe even add a couple more in a shortened season with these MLB style series. You get a little hate between each other and get some anger going. But
I could see that. Yeah. With the way the season's going, it does kind of lend to your hot take.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But Evan, you're sticking to your guns on this one. You're going the same route you did with PEB and saying Calvert's getting extended by mid-season.
I feel more confident with this one than I do with PEB because, they gave Calvert a 3-year deal initially, and I think they like him a little bit more than PEB, and he's a younger guy. He's not too much younger, but he's a little bit younger, and just his past with Bednar and the people in the organization, I think they're going to see if they can bring him back for a couple more years. And he does kind of bring something different to the lineup that maybe some of these younger guys coming up are not going to necessarily bring. So it's a different element that the Avs might need.
Yeah, you definitely get a little bit more. Matt Calvert is kind of the team dad almost, whereas PEB is like the fun old uncle that comes to the family gatherings a little bit. So
Yeah.
at least that's the vibe I get. But
Yeah. I wonder if they do the matching denim.
I hope so. The biker gang of Matt Calvert and PEB with their little chihuahuas. You'd love to see it. Before we go too deep down that road, let's move on to the third line a little bit and start with Joonas Donskoi over there. Donskoi, first year with the Avs last year after signing a 4-year deal, originally playing with San Jose there. He pretty much played exactly how you expected him to coming over from San Jose, maybe even outperforming the numbers based on games played a little bit. Great. Yeah, I think he had a solid year, but his future is a bit of a question mark. So a name that's been thrown around a lot for the Avs and potential expansion draft bait.
Yeah, he would seem like a guy that's going to be left open for the expansion draft. It just makes sense. A couple of years on the contract, you might as well expose him. But yeah, I mean, his first year, I'm not sure you could have expected much more from him. It seemed like there was a bit of a dip in the second half from him production-wise. I think he had something like 3 goals in his last 30 games. So you hope to see maybe a little bit more consistency as the year goes on. But as the way things look right now, he's not going to be in the top 6. So it's going to be a matter of him, providing a little bit more, I guess, steady presence on that third line and some production from that bottom 6. Because I would say he's the most talented guy in that bottom 6.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument for that. My hot take is not necessarily disagreeing with that, but in connection with the pieces the Avs have gone out and acquired, I'm saying Donskoi is going to be stuck in that bottom 6, or more so really a third line role all year, and that he won't be the guy to move up into the top 6 when someone gets injured, which could hurt his production a little bit.
Absolutely. I could definitely see it. The way things went last year, he saw a good bit of time with Nathan MacKinnon, which is going to bump up anyone's production. But yeah, I mean, the way the top 6 is set right now, it's pretty well balanced. So I think that he's going to be the guy that's going to be on that third line, hoping to provide some offense there.
Yeah. Questions will certainly arise when injuries do come up, and it's going to depend on who gets injured to a big extent as well. But again, maybe an opportunity to get someone like a Martin Kaut in there on the wing. We'll just have to wait and see. My hot take, it's 100% true. It's right. Just accept it. It's fine. Evan's hot take, probably a little bit more realistic, saying Donskoi is going to shoot under 10%, but make up for it in assists.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as the guy who's going to be shooting at a high percentage. But I do think he's a better playmaker than a goal scorer, and I think those numbers are going to pop up a little bit more this year. He was kind of even last year with his numbers, so I think he's going to make up for it in assists in terms of what he's not bringing in the goal category.
Set a career high in goals last year in a shortened season, so career 11% shooter, shot 14.4% last year. You would expect it to come down a little bit. Assist-wise, just generally, I think it's what he's better at. So you put him on a line with some dudes with some finish, like a Compher, certainly. Nichushkin on a good day, we'll get to that. He can definitely be someone providing assists instead of goals for a line. So Donskoi, the combination, honestly, of Donskoi and Compher is interesting because the Avs' third line right there is not cheap and is signed through the next 3 years. So,
yeah, and let's be honest, in the playoffs, it was not impressive. So You're kind of hoping that they can do a little bit more this year.
Yeah, you certainly would want that. As we do move into that JT Compher conversation, Compher, he had a fine year, 31 points in 67 games played. Given the contract he was given, I think you're probably wanting a little bit more out of him, especially we've talked a ton about how playing him on the penalty kill is a bit of a trap for the Avs.
Yeah, for Compher, offensively, he's been about the same for 2 years, so I think he's going to kind of stay around the same. Where I would like to see him get better is defensively, because in that third line role, I feel like that's what the Avs are going to need, is somebody who's going to be a little bit better defensively, especially on the PK. The underlying numbers are not great for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just more what he can do is in his own end, because he was kind of advertised as that guy who's going to be do it all. But if you look at the numbers, it doesn't really look that way. So you're hoping that defensively, that's where the improvements are made.
Well, take everything Evan just said and throw it out the window for my hot take, because I went offensive with my hot take saying JT Compher is going to lead that bottom six group in scoring. The thing with Compher is he feels quite streaky on the offensive end. You'll see him do some fun things, and then he'll go quiet for 10 games. Just want to eke out a little bit more consistency out of him there. It's 56 game season, so you have to prorate his points. It's hard to predict an exact number, but with personally expecting a little bit less out of Donskoi, I think it's Compher's opportunity to take advantage there.
Yeah, I think the organization is going to look at Compher as being the guy in the bottom six that they expect to lead the way.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if he did lead the bottom six in scoring. Like I said, he's been pretty steady through 2 years, so you kind of know what you're going to get numbers wise. But like you said, he's a little streaky, which is mostly what a lot of bottom six guys are. That's why they're not top six players. They're bottom six guys. So you just would rather see him, maybe a point every few games rather than 3 points in one game and then, well, where you been for the last 10 games.
Yeah, that's a fair argument for sure. And, can he get there? We'll wait and see. The rotating cast of a bottom six certainly doesn't make that any easier as well. So going to your take, you're living in bizarro world for the Avalanche a little bit here, saying Compher will finish above 50% in the faceoff circle. Saying anyone would have done that a couple years ago would be madness, Evan.
Yeah, so my expectation is that the Avs in their end of season meetings with him said, listen, we know what you can do offensively. You're not a top six guy on this team. We need you to round out the game. And I think practicing against guys like Bellemare and Kadri, who are great in the faceoff circle, is hopefully going to wear off on him. And faceoffs, they have their, I guess, value. We'll see. Some people debate that, but I think where it comes in handy is maybe on the penalty kill, which is what he's going to do a lot of. So I'm just hoping that that's kind of the step the Avs took with him, is just saying, hey, just round out the rest of your game, and that's where you can add value to this team.
I mean, certainly, if they continue playing him as much as they do on the penalty kill, any bit of those extra tools cannot hurt. That's for sure. So getting that little bit of an edge, we saw. It should be something the Avs are focusing on after the Dallas series where they just got crushed on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Hopefully Compher can help them there quite a bit, whether it be in the faceoff dot or otherwise. Last guy in the bottom six, everyone's favorite nuke, Valeri Nichushkin, 27 points in 65 games last year after not scoring a playoff or an NHL goal in like well over a year, 4 years or something, and 92 NHL games played. He went to the KHL for a while in there. Look, he had a breakout year that not a lot of people were expecting out of him.
Yeah, what is this guy? We don't know. That's kind of what the bottom six is kind of depending on what he is this year, because from pretty much when he scored, which was like halfway through November on,
yep,
he was a big part of this team, and his role kind of grew and grew. Obviously, everyone knows basically nothing bad happens when he's on the ice. So it's a matter of what offensively is this guy. Because even if you look at his career, I was looking at his first year, he shot 11%. Second year, 8 games, no goals. Third year, shot like 10%. And then he had the year where he had no goals in 57 games. So it's just no one knows what this guy is. It's just we need to find out what he is this year, because Yeah, he could help the Avs long term if he really is what we saw towards the end of last year, and not the guy we saw in the playoffs.
Yeah, for my money, he has to do it again, certainly, to really prove it. But he's already signed to that 2-year deal. So for my hot take, I'm buying the hype on this one. I'm saying Val Nichushkin becomes an actual human piece of rubber and scores a goal off of every appendage of his body. He already scored one off of his face last year. Now we get crazy. Arms, legs, feet, hands, just going to deflect in a million pucks this year.
Yeah, I wonder how many appendages we're talking about here, but yeah, it's the face goal. You put the video up. I was watching that again. It's hilarious that's how he gets his Gordie Howe hat trick, just a puck off the dome and in. So he's going to be sitting in front of the net a lot, so it could happen. I could see it happening. And they should allow the Andrew Shaw header goal.
Yeah, right. That should totally be allowed, for sure. 100%.
I don't see what's wrong with that. That's skill.
If you have that ability, then it's a good goal. Yeah, if you're that talented to head in a puck.
This is your one hot take that I absolutely hope happens this year.
My most entertaining one, highlight-wise, to say the least, for sure. Your hot take, maybe, I mean, it's spicy, but a little bit more in the realm of reality. Leaning into Nichushkin's defense, saying he's a top 5 finisher in the Selke, and the Avs actually take advantage of that by using him on the PK.
Yeah. So I think he got votes last year, but the Avs didn't use him on the penalty kill. It was basically all, even strength numbers people were going off of. So I think now that if he does it offensively again, he's going to have all the analytic people behind him because he had it last year. So this is a hot take. I don't. The Selke Trophy is just the weirdest one out there because it's,
especially as a winger, it's basically impossible to win.
Yeah, and for the wrong reasons too. Wingers should be able to win this award, but I'm gonna say that the analytical people are gonna back him up big time if he has a good year.
Like to see it. I'm tired of seeing the same 3 names at the top of the Selke conversation every single year. Even as Bergeron's like pushing 40, isn't he?
Yeah, even Kopitar's getting up there.
Yeah.
Need a new batch.
The fresh blood. Val can be the perennial Selke contender of the future. Although, they tend to go with guys who score a bunch too. So might be tough for Val to get there. But we can go ahead and wrap this one up here as the Avs bottom 6, look, it's not flashy. Sometimes it's not very entertaining hockey, but it's just as important in many ways as the rest of the team is. They have to get the job done night in and night out. They have to win the battle against the other team's bottom 6 to get Avs wins. Right, Evan?
Absolutely. It's a big reason why the Avs were so good last year is that their bottom 6 outplayed other teams' bottom 6.
Yep. You can find your way to a lot of victories that way. So that is the end of this bottom 6 preview for the Colorado Avalanche. Be sure to like and subscribe on this video. It really helps us out. There you go. Give that little bell a click as well if you want to get notified every single time we go live or post a video. And head on over to thednvr.com. Evan's writing articles. AJ's writing articles. I got tape up on there as well. So all sorts of awesome stuff for you guys to check out. We're keeping on rolling. Hockey is less than a week away at this point, and we still got some big names to preview for you over the weekend and next week.